Welcome aboard the Boat Buyer's Secret Weapon podcast, where we're dedicated to helping first-time and experienced boaters find the right boat at the best price and ensure all boaters have years and years of happy boating fun because life truly is better on a boat. Today's podcast is sponsored by the First Time Boat Buyers Academy, so you can find the perfect boat at the lowest possible price and buy with 100% confidence. For a short video, visit boatbuyerssecretweapon.com/academy. Now, let's hop aboard and have some fun. Welcome to the Boat Buyer's Secret Weapon podcast. I'm your host, Captain Matt, and today we're here with Reed from North Carolina. And Reed recently bought his Bennington, and he had some experiences that he wanted to share. And I've been interviewing folks that have recently gone through a buying process because it's changed a little bit. And so, Reed, I appreciate you joining us.
Thanks. Glad to meet you, and really enjoy your podcast. When I moved down to North Carolina last year from Northern Virginia, wanted to get on the lake. That's why I moved here, and wanted to get a pontoon boat, but I didn't know anything about pontoon boats. So I started watching the videos, learning, and kind of understanding with it. I lived in Miami 25 years ago, even longer, and I had a small boat way back when, but it was a whole different story. But I didn't know anything about lakes or pontoon boats, and I started watching your videos. It was a great help. And go ahead.
Tell everybody where in North Carolina you are, the lake that you're on, and a little bit more about sort of your style of boating. What you boated a little bit in Florida. You came from Virginia. In your mind, what did you have for this is why I want a boat?
So I'm on Lake Norman, North Carolina, just above Charlotte, 20 miles north of Charlotte. It's the largest lake in North Carolina. It's 32 miles big and like 520 miles of shoreline. So it's big. You can explore all for your whole life. And I've met some people who've never seen the whole lake. And so that was what's interested me and why we bought here. And we got a house right on the lake with a dock, a floating dock, a fixed and floating dock. And I just wanted to do casual, go out, go to, all the different spots, hang out, float in the water, drive around and explore. My wife and I. So
Perfect. And as you were doing your research, you found my videos. What are some things you learned that were valuable? What are some things that really jumped out? You're like, damn, I'm glad I found that out now instead of after I bought the boat.
I didn't realize how many brands of boats there were. Like, there's just so many. And I didn't realize, how to test drive a boat, what to really look for. And I watched all those videos. And I was like, pontoons, tritoons. I mean, there were so many options. I was overwhelmed with it. And so early on, we were renting a house before we actually bought a house. And this was in the middle of April last year. And I started, and Lake Norman, you could drive around the lake and there's lots of different boat dealers. And I had no idea what brand. I just didn't know. So I went to like almost every boat dealer. And back then, last year, I would go in there. There was a warehouse. There was no boat.
Just the empty.
The guy had one boat, and I said, well, that's a nice boat. How much is that? He said, oh, that's $170,000. I said, does that come with a condo also? And I said, no. So anyway, they had no used boats and they had no new boats. And I'm like, I don't even know how much these things cost. So it was hard to understand. And so I gave everybody my number. Nobody called me back.
Yep.
Nobody called me back in the whole lake. And so I said, okay, I'm in the process of buying a house. I'll let that settle. And then I kept on watching. You talked about when's the best time to buy boats, and how after the season, soon as the Memorial Day weekend came, Labor Day weekend, everything stopped. Everybody's going back to school, slow down, and I was watching. And I went back again to those dealers, and I'm like, still they didn't really have anything. It was like, oh, maybe the boat show. And they were all very nice deals. They were really nice. And I realized that what was important to me is I wanted to buy a newer boat that had a warranty, I don't want to have to pay the premium. And I literally talked to most of the dealers here on the lake. And I quickly realized which are the biggest and most professional ones. Not they're all very nice, all very
Yep.
helpful. And I wanted to get a boat that had a warranty on it. And I learned, well, you got a boat with the whole warranty and the top of the boat above the deck warranty, and then you have the warranty for the motor, and that was really important to me. So I kind of settled, I went to all of them. Harris, which I know you're very familiar with,
Yep.
the Bennington, Premier, all of them. And I collected all the books. I collected all the catalogs and I talked with them. And I actually did some shopping, and how you kind of click through and you go for 1,000,001 options. I'm like, oh my God. And after I clicked through it, it was still $1 billion. And I didn't want to do it. And I was willing to spend some money, some good money to buy a good quality boat.
Yep.
And then I started try to get used boats from the dealers. Didn't find them. There were just
They're not available. Yeah.
One or two popped up, but it was not as fun. It was not what I was looking for. They had used boats with no warranties. Then I found out a couple of dealers will sell you a new 1 or 2 year old boats, but they can't transfer the warranty.
Yep.
Or they want some money to transfer the warranty. So I decided, let me go on the secondhand market. I did all the things, there's some local dealers around here, very helpful, independent boat salespeople who sell private boats.
Yep.
Facebook, some of the other local websites, some of the more national websites started popping up. And then I try to understand, what's my cost? What happens if I buy a boat not on my lake? Well, then you're into transporting the boat. How am I going to get the boat tested? And how am I going to get, how am I going to verify what I want? And if I buy it from an independent, how am I going to do that transaction?
Yep.
Because you're going to pay a boat broker a fee. There was a couple of them there that I talked with. And I kind of really try to educate myself along with all your videos.
And this was over what kind of period of time? When did you first say, we're moving to the lake and we're getting a pontoon to?
Right. I moved here. I moved to Lake Norman in November of 2020. Excuse me, 19. And I was in a condo, didn't have a house. It wasn't until May of last year that I actually bought a house. We moved in July 1st.
Okay.
And I actually started before because I wanted to see what was out there because I was excited,
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
And so we did that. And then it wasn't until even during the summer, there was no boats to be had. So I figured I started my search, really started looking hard where I was a serious buyer, and I made my intentions known September 1. Right?
Okay.
And I saw a bunch of different boats, and I finally found I found a boat. What happened when I noticed that all of the Bennington boats, which I decided that's the boat and brand I wanted to get. I wanted to get a tri-tune, minimum 150 Yamaha with some bells and whistles. Right?
So quality, you went premium brand. Quality, you went tri-tune, you went at least a 150 horsepower, and you had all these have-to-haves in your on your list. Okay. And then some wants as well. Some that would be nice maybe. You didn't need a trailer probably.
That was another thing. I mean, there was a lot of people selling trailers, and I went to say, well, if I get a boat with a trailer, what do I do with it? Somebody wanted to charge me like $150, $200 a month to store the trailer. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yep.
So I decided I wanted to find someplace on the lake that a local seller that I could test drive it and go there. So I really focused, zeroed in my search on that. And there was still not a lot out there. It was just not a lot.
Yeah.
And before I was looking at other brands, and they all have really nice things and upgrades and all that. And when I figured out I wanted to buy a Bennington, because the dealership here is huge. They have a great service department. The warranty is, top, bottom, and motor was great. And I learned about, when you buy the boat, you could buy at the time that people buy new boats, they have different extended warranty programs. Some of them have 2-year, 3-year, and I wanted one that had 5 years.
And the other thing is Bennington has a Yamaha on it, right? Yamaha
200. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And so I did. That's what I was looking for. 150. 200 was a bonus. I always say bigger is better. And so I found a local guy who was a year and a half into his boat, and he was going to upgrade to a different. He wanted to do a wake boat, and he had this boat. And I met him I met him at the dock. His boat was in the water. It had 160 hours in it. It was a Bennington 23 SSXRP, which is like they have many different lines, which I learned.
Yep.
It's the top of the lower end of the lines that Bennington has. And it has the upgraded seats. It has the raised captain's helm. It has, nice stereos, fish finder, all those things that I need. I didn't want sinks and swing backs. I also decided that I didn't like that swing back option because I'm not going to hang out and lay out in the sun all day.
Yeah.
I'd rather have the quad bench, dual captain chair was really what I was looking for. So my wife and I can, go out because most of the time it's going to be us.
Yep.
And I also really like the extended front and back platforms.
Makes tying up a lot easier, getting access to everywhere you need access to, for sure.
Exactly. The other thing that I wanted to do is I'm like, okay, and this guy was willing to buy, willing to sell, and I was willing to buy. And after seeing a couple of boats and taking a couple of boats out to trial run, I'm like, this is sweet because it was in perfect condition. It had a warranty, and we took it out, we started it up, it fired right up. It was like you can't even hear the engine. It was like so quiet. Everything looked to be in order. Plus, he was wanting to get, he threw in all the equipment, wakeboards and you name it, coolers, just total package.
Nice.
Fenders, you name it, was in there. But what was interesting is that after as part of the deal, he had a loan on the boat, and I wasn't sure how that transaction was going to work. Yep. So I he wasn't in such a rush because his boat wasn't coming in, and he was wanted to get rid of it. But we agreed that the way we were going to do this is part of the contract is that he was due for the 100-hour service on the boat.
Okay.
And hadn't been done yet because it had 120 hours. And
that's all right.
We agreed that we agreed on a price, and the transaction would only happen once we brought the boat to the Bennington dealer. They did the full service on it. They did the compression test on the engine, and they could transfer all the warranties. And as part of that, we agreed to split the price of all those services.
Okay.
So we agreed on the price of the boat, and then we agreed on whatever it's going to cost to get the holes cleaned, acid wash to clean the holes. And then they did the full service. There was a little, the chair was tweaked, and they untweaked it and they fixed it up, and they checked it out. And so based on that, once those criteria was met, we agreed to go down to the bank, and we got his loan paid off, his title transferred, and it was a really, really smooth transaction.
So let me go back to this, because this is a question I hear a lot. Right. You're buying a boat from a private seller. They have a loan. Mm-hmm. I maybe overdo it sometimes in my videos, but be aware of scams, be aware of getting taken advantage of. And this is an area where it's easy to do. Talk
Mhm.
through how that conversation went, what you did to feel comfortable that,
Right.
hey, I'm at the bank and I know I'm going to get the title when it's released.
That's correct. So he had a loan. He had a loan on the boat, and in North Carolina, you have titles on boats. So I said, well, what's the payoff number on your loan? So he goes, I don't know exactly. Let me go find out. It was at a local bank, and he got the number, and we knew how much the balances was going to be that we were going to pay off, and we agreed on a bill of sale that had all the terms and conditions on to meet that the Bennington dealer would be able to transfer the warranty and everything would check out. And once that was met, we agreed to go down to the bank, right? And once we went to the bank, I wrote a check to the bank, and the bank then gave me a receipt saying that that loan was paid in full.
Yep. It's one of the things, and we'll get into
Right.
how the relationship with the seller
Mhm.
is, but when you have that loan payoff, that's exactly, you get the payoff, you know exactly what that number is. If the bank's not local, you can do this via fax or via FedEx
Mhm.
and via phone calls. Um, but knowing that, hey, the payoff is this, I'm sending it to them, they're going to send me the
Right.
receipt, they're going to
Right.
send me confirmation of payoff, and
Right.
then they've got the title will soon follow.
Right.
Well, not maybe soon is not the right word, but the title will follow within 60 days or so.
That's right. That's right.
But if they're local, it's even better. It's even easier.
Yeah, I mean, when the cashier just gave us a receipt, we he worked with the bank to let him know that this was going to happen. And when the transaction went down, the teller gave us a receipt saying it was paid off, which was
Yep.
because I wasn't about to write him. He was a nice guy.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not
You
going
got
to
a
write
good
anybody a check like
relationship.
that. That's right.
Yeah, here
Right.
you. I just trust you that you'll pay off your loan and I'll get the title. You're like, no,
Yeah.
take a couple of steps to protect yourself, and yet,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
yet, most private sellers are nice people, honest people,
Mhm.
easy to work with if you're serious about buying the boat and you have the money to buy the boat. And it sounds like that's the exact type of person that you ran into.
Mhm.
Is you did your due diligence,
Yeah.
and he was easy to work with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Actually, he invited me on his new boat when he gets it, which is great.
There you go.
I'm
And you
excited.
made a
And
boating
I'll
friend
take
out of it. That's even better. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
So,
I got a bunch of pictures. This is when I went down to see the boat for the first time. It was all, nice. Everything was taken care of. I helped him take off the cover, and he showed me all about the boat and all the little things on it. It was really nice. Um, there's my 200 Yamaha, which okay, there you go. So
yeah. So give us a rundown of what you saw, what you really liked, if you ran into any things that
mhm,
caused you
right,
concern. Just run us through the pictures because they're
right.
they're really great
So
shots.
So this is what when I first got there, we was docked right in the water on one of the local marina. I mean, right when I walked up, I was like, this looks like a brand new boat,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the cushions were well taken care of. You can tell he always covered it. It had the playpen cover, which you'll see later on. It had everything that I was really looking for. And the what I learned is there's so many different models
Yes.
in the Bennington line. And like it all depends what the Bennington dealer bought that year and was selling, right? And I want the full tri-tune, three big 25-inch logs, which is what this has. And you could just see we went on there. It's the premium version of that, which by itself, when you know what that is, after you do your research, you know all the features automatically. He actually even sent me his invoice that had all the options. I asked him like, well, what is that? A lot of times you've seen I saw, oh, I'm selling this used boat, and you get the basics, how big it is with the brand and the engine size, but
Yep.
what are all the features? And so he was able to get that and send that to me. There's the the 200.
And sometimes if they don't have it, if you get the hull identification number, if the boat's not too old, you can go to the local dealer that sells that boat and ask them to look that hull ID up and look at the build sheet on it, and they can oftentimes provide that.
I actually did that with a Tahoe boat I was looking at. I went to the local dealer and I gave him the number, and he goes, "Oh yeah, this is what, this exactly all the details."
Yep.
And so I was interested in that, but didn't float my boat actually. So, right. And so here you can say you got the hull locker in the middle.
I love that. The center walkthrough with the dual captain's chair is my favorite layout for a family pontoon boat, because you get all the seating, you get all the lounges, and it's a really open floor plan too, which I like.
Right. And sometimes less is more. I didn't want a whole bunch of gadgets.
Yep.
It's got the color changing underlight seating, variable, just too much. I'll quickly go through it because it's got the nice platform and the big ladder, which I was interested in.
Yep.
And the ski tow bar. Quickly go through it. And I just looked at it has all the lighting, what have you. And then what we did is obviously he showed me how to put the cover on and off and how all that works, which is really nice. Took it out, how to keep the wife happy, make sure she liked it. We went out on it. Actually, he took us out even while we were during the sale. Actually, before it transferred, he took us out on a different ride just to make sure, and we had a great time.
Nice. Did you go through? Did you invest in the First Time Boat Buyer Academy?
No, I did not.
Okay. When you did your demo ride, I've got a very good video, like a 20-minute video where I walked through. Did you go through all of those maneuvers, and did you do all of that stuff?
I did. We went for initial test ride, and then I came, get all excited. You don't realize what was going on. And then I went back again, and we went out for an hour plus, and we did everything. The other thing that I had a lot of confidence in was the brand. There was no issues. It's a 2020, tri-tune with a low hour motor. So there's nothing really, if there was something going to be wrong with it, the dealer would correct it.
Yep.
And it gave me that peace of mind.
Yep.
But there was no issues when we did that anyway.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, we did all the turns and zero to flat out. One of the things that I did learn through the, I brought my cell phone, and I thought it was a little slow when we were going flat out. And it turned out to be the issue was that it hadn't been cleaned. The tubes hadn't been cleaned.
Makes a big difference.
It was like a 8 mile an hour, 9 mile an hour difference. And so that was part of the deal is when we bought it, got the tubes acid washed.
Yep. Yeah,
that's all something.
Something if you leave it in the water on Lake Norman. I'm just 45 minutes south of you, just across the border in South Carolina. But in our climate on our lakes, if you wash your tunes at least once a year, you're going to be good. Do it, a little bit later in the summer, maybe 4th of July, as they start warming up. That's when the growth starts accumulating more. And that usually gets you by, maybe twice if you're in a shallow area with not much movement.
Right. Yeah. I'm in a little quiet cove, which very protected area. No issues. So yeah, the whole dash was a raised helm, and you have the fish finder, the Striker 4, and the kicker stereo system with the basic instrumentation on it.
Yep.
And what was really nice also, the steering wheel tilted up, which was really nice.
Yes.
And and there's actually the engine, so I remember how many hours were on it. We got it. So
was there anything that caught you off guard that surprised you as you were going through the process? And was there anything specifically during COVID times where inventory was so low, it was difficult, that you think would be good advice for people to hear right now?
Well, I as you said, there's always boats available. It's just which one do you want and when are you ready to buy? You just have to be ready to buy, because when you're buying, it's like buying a used car. Once you don't get exactly what you want, but you have to get the right checklist items that you're looking to buy and say, I'm okay with it. If I don't get a shower on board, or a live well or whatever, you have to be okay with that, knowing that if you really want those things, you can add them.
Yep.
Right. It's kind of time and place. If you're there and it's available and it's, the color you like or you don't like, okay, you got to go for it. And what I wanted to be is, I didn't want to go into the summertime or the springtime without a boat.
Right.
And so, and I, in videos, you can go to the boat show, right? Well, all the dealers told me, going to the boat show this year, the prices are going to go up by 10% in January. There's going to be no deals at the boat show. And I'm like, this is as late model as I want to get, because the newest, when I was buying it, the 2022s haven't even come in yet. So
Yep.
Right. So what I did here is, on the picture, when I brought the boat to the dealer, you could clearly see the tubes were dirty. They did the full inspection. I went down there and I talked to the mechanic when it was there, when he was there. I got the full report. You could see the tubes were just filthy.
Yeah. So, but look at those. Yes, they're filthy, but it's not like there's growth hanging off it, and that
Correct.
slowed you down 8 miles an hour.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
remember that growth has a major impact on your speed. That just adds that extra friction and drag, and it just slows you down. I've got a video on it on the channel.
It was one of my biggest concerns. I'm like, is there something wrong here? I'm got a 200 engine on a 23-foot tri-tune. This thing should be flying. Yep. And it does now. So
now, yeah.
So this is it at the Bennington dealer. And then, they did the full inspection. They replaced the tubes. And one thing I did do is that it only had a single battery. And I had them put in a dual battery with a switch.
Yep, perfect.
And I said, it cost a little bit more money to do at the dealership. I know I could have got it done someplace else, but I said, just go ahead and make it right.
Yeah, for pleasure boaters that just like to cruise around, maybe sit at anchor at the sandbar, that second battery is a nice, inexpensive insurance policy from getting left with the dead battery somewhere.
Right. And this is actually in my cove down. This is at home. I actually had to drive it. Since I wasn't very experienced, I had my neighbor come with me, drive it down from the dealership back to my dock, and there she is, sitting right out there right now.
Very nice. Very nice. And Lake Norman's a beautiful lake with some beautiful homes on it too. If you haven't been there, it is and you're in the area, it's a nice lake to put on your visit list.
Yeah, it's right now it's getting too cold out there. It's like 20 degrees today.
Yeah.
Which is highly unusual, but we went I took my daughter out on Christmas Day and it was 60, 70 degrees. So it was great.
Yep.
So yeah, that was I really appreciate all the videos. I learned a tremendous amount, and so from your buyer spreadsheets that you had and how to negotiate and do all that. I like to negotiate myself, but you never know how things will go down. But all your tips were very, very valuable. I highly spend the time, go through those videos and really understand all the differences, because like I said, there were so many choices. And I decided that I wasn't going to buy a new boat. I wanted to buy a slightly pre-owned boat and fully warranted. And I was willing to pay for that. And because I want to spend my time boating and not fixing.
Yeah, yes, for sure. Yeah, And I think there's a couple of things that you've shared as we've gone through is one, you were very patient, and yet you acted very quickly when the opportunity came along that you knew checked all the boxes that you need. Maybe there are some things that, oh, I wish it would have been all black, or I wish it would have had this, but it had 95% of what you were looking for of the things that you can't change. It's difficult to add a third tune. It's difficult to upgrade from a 90 to a 200, if not impossible.
Mhm.
It's difficult to
Exactly.
go from a swing back to a center walkthrough. Um,
Right.
but it had those things, and you found it, and now you move. Now you take action. You negotiate as much as you can, and you limit your risk as much as possible. And that's key. All of those are key.
What I also did learn is that since the boats were in such short supply, all of the dealers would the boat owners who were trying to get rid of their boats, they would go back to the dealer
Yep.
and they would give them an offer, and they would use that offer as the baseline for what they started out.
As long as I can
Right.
get more than that, I'm doing better
Right.
than I would if I traded.
That's right, because you buy it from the dealer, they're going to make their profit. They're going to send their
Yep.
sales tax. The other thing is in North Carolina, I learned, if you buy your boat from a private seller, there's no sales tax.
Okay.
If you buy it from a dealer,
Yep.
there is.
Yeah, it's different. Every state has a little bit different rules on, what that tax is, if you trade in, how that's calculated. So do that research before, and know what it's going to look like, so that you think there's going to be no sales tax, and you get hit with I just
Right.
got an email from a guy that said in Canada, their sales tax is 13%. I was like, oh crap. I thought
Mhm.
Tennessee was high at 7, but yeah, so it makes a difference, and it can add up. Know all that stuff before you write the check,
Right.
instead of after you write the check.
Well, the other two other things I did learn was before I bought the boat, I'm like, what does it take to register the boat? What do I
Yep.
need to register the boat? And it just so happens here, I think it's the Wildlife Better
Yeah,
Association.
North Carolina Wildlife.
Yeah, yeah. I was able to go down to the local food line here and do my transaction at the food line.
Oh, really? I didn't realize it was that easy.
I
up
went
there.
there, I'm like, what papers do I need? And they said, hey, these are the papers you need to go for me to register your boat. So I made sure I had those, right? And then boat insurance. I had called
Yep.
up and made sure that I had the boat insurance effective the day of my transaction. So just in case something happened, I was all covered.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Any other advice that you have? Any other things that popped up during your entire shopping experience that you think would be valuable for other people to know, or to be aware of, that you ran into?
Um, I for me, the biggest thing was being able to get service and support on the lake that you're at.
Yep.
I could have bought. There was some beautiful tri-tune boats that there were no dealerships on the lake. So if something went wrong, I was out of luck. So that process of trying to figure out the brand of boat got narrowed down by the quality of the dealership.
And Lake Norman Marina is one of the top dealerships on the lake in that area. You're right. There is a bunch of great dealers. The Boat Rack is a fine dealership. The
Yes,
Marine
yes.
Max, I know the guys
Right.
there. They're great. There's some
Oh,
really solid dealerships up there, but it's key. And now you've got a relationship too, because of the way you did the
right.
inspection and the transfer.
Exactly. I mean, I was going to buy a boat from them. If they had a good used boat, I was going to buy it from them because there was no other options until I kept on looking. And you're right. You got to be patient. The timing for me, like I said, I didn't want to go to the spring or wait until early, just before, early winter. I mean, late winter and trying to buy a boat. Just test driving it would have been a problem. and all those things that, you know, it's okay. I can't use it as much now. It's killing me, but there'll be nice days here on Lake Norman in the middle of the winter time that we'll be able to go out.
Yeah, this cold snap's going to be leaving us soon. I'm ready for it to be done. My daughter's been going to school with stocking hats on and gloves, and they don't know what's going on. They're not used to this down here.
Right.
Well, Reed, this has been a fun conversation. The boat is beautiful. I love that layout. It's like I said, it's one of my favorite. The double captain chairs, the center walkthrough, our quad lounge is great. And I appreciate you sharing the pictures. I appreciate you sharing your story, because there's other people that are struggling with that overwhelm of, holy crap, there's 40 pontoon manufacturers and they each have 2, 3, 4, 5 different models and then options within those models. It's just blowing me away.
It's crazy. It's I would say you have more options than any car you want to buy. Buying a pontoon boat, there's just way more options.
Yeah, and it's that way in every segment. It's center consoles are similar, bow riders are similar. It's a lot of different things that you can get to, and it can be even sometimes difficult to figure out what the hell does that even mean. What is yours? The SX something
RP.
something premium,
right.
XXRP premium. You're like, what is that? I don't know.
It's just a nice boat that has all kinds of stuff on
it. Yeah. Well, Reed, have a great summer. I know it's going to warm up here soon, and get on the water, enjoy it. Learn the lake, because Lake Norman does have some shallow areas. They have got some rocks and some kind of jetties that stick out. So learn the lake, get a good map or GPS, and have a great summer with it.
Thanks, and everybody, just keep on watching all those videos, because I really learned a lot from them.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Let's pull up the anchor and run this podcast back to the dock. We'll be back again with another helpful and fun episode next time. If you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, visit boatbuyerssecretweapon.com/guest, and I'll help offer insights into your boat research and shopping experience. Also, we'd appreciate it if you took just 2 minutes to rate and review this podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. It helps others find us so we can help more boaters.
By the way, if you want to ensure you find the perfect boat at the lowest possible price so you can buy with 100% confidence, visit boatbuyerssecretweapon.com/academy for a short video and all the details.
Now, before we go, I want to leave you with a few first-time boating tips for when you own your new boat. Number 1, know your local boating laws, basic navigation rules, and how to operate your boat safely. It'll make boating even more fun for everyone. 2, be aware of your wake at all times and pay attention to no wake zones, because you are responsible for your wake. When maneuvering at slow speeds, you can put out an enormous wake. If going slow, be courteous, save some fuel, and drop down to idle speed, just in forward gear, to ensure there is no wake. This could save you an expensive ticket and will keep you from being that guy on your waterway. Number 3, boats do not have headlights. They have docking lights, specifically made for seeing in tight quarters and docking. Do not turn your docking lights on while cruising down the water. It can blind other boaters and is very dangerous, and again, could save you an expensive ticket. Number 4, follow the maintenance schedule for your boat. Change the oil, impeller, gear lube, winterize if you need to winterize in your area. Inspect your trailer tires, bearings, and grease the hubs if you're a trailer boater to ensure you don't experience expensive and unnecessary repairs that will impact your boating time. Number 5, always double check your plug is in, your battery is charged, and the fuel is full before heading out for a day on the water. It could just save your boating day. And if you're a trailer boater, I've got a few extra tips. Number 1, at the boat ramp, prepare your boat, your gear, and your guests in the staging area. Then, when you're ready, back down the ramp, unload the boat, head to the parking lot, and right back down to your boat to be fast and courteous to your fellow boaters, and don't tie up that ramp unnecessarily. Next, use transom tie-down straps when trailing your boat. Very bad things can happen if you don't, and they do happen. 3, check everything in the boat is secure before heading down the road. Seat cushions, gear, keys, towels, even tubes and lily pads can get blown out when pulling your boat down the highway or interstate. And most important, have fun. Enjoy your boat and get on the water as much as possible, because life truly is better on a boat. Until next time, this is your friend in boating, Captain Matt.